Meeting to order at 9:31 a.m. Please call the roll.
Commissioners Markham,
Here. Okay.
Middleton,
Here.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Gershenson,
Here.
McGillivray,
Here.
Quarles,
She's
Here.
saying
Howell,
Here.
Vaughn,
Here.
Colwell,
Here.
Zach,
Zach is in Huntington Woods, and we're going to need to go around and have everybody identify their location, please. So
I'm sorry about that. This is new for me.
I know.
Okay, Commissioner Markham, your location, please.
Novi, Michigan.
Middleton, your location, please.
County Commission Office in Pontiac.
Okay. Commissioner Gershenson, your location.
Bloomfield Township.
McGillivray,
Addison Heights.
Quarles,
Southfield.
Howell,
Pontiac, Michigan.
Long,
Commerce Township,
Colwell,
White Lake Township.
okay, that completes the location for the members.
Thank you. We're going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, but before we do that, we're going to have a moment of silence for Theodore Ted Middleton. Thank you. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. Here's the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. I need a motion for the approval of the minutes. Commissioner McGillivray, supported by Commissioner Markham. Any questions about the minutes? Seeing none.
There's two sets of minutes, right?
It's October 7th and the 21st.
Thank you.
Any questions about the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Anybody opposed, say nay. Motion carries. I need a motion to approve the shortened revised agenda for this morning. Commissioner Quarles, supported by Commissioner Gershenson. Any questions or comments? It was suggested to me on Tuesday, we were getting additional items that it was best, I felt it was best to separate out our agenda. It's hard to stay on GoToMeeting for hours and hours. So that's why we called the second meeting. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Do I have any public comment today, Andrea?
Good morning. Currently, your public comment is open. You have no callers and no written submissions.
Thank you so much. Seeing that there isn't any public comment, I'm going to close public comment. Moving on to communications. I need a motion to approve the communications agenda. Commissioner Kowal, supported by Commissioner Long. Are there any questions or comments about communications? I did have, okay, no one has it. I had a question about this grant application for its item number F, Health and Human Services Homeless Blueprint Grant Application. Do I have anybody here from Health? Okay, I'll ask. Actually, we have Shane later. I can ask him later. So I just wanted to know if this is new funding or not. So, okay. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none. Yes, Commissioner Powell.
I'm just trying to see which agenda is the agenda, the one that's posted on the website. That's not the updated one. Cause right now I just can't access my account. So I was trying to pull it off the web. Is it up to date?
It is, Commissioner.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Chair.
No, thank you, Chris. I couldn't answer that. Okay. Any other questions or comments on communications? So I did not see, well, I do have another. Mike Andrews, was there a write-up from Corporation Counsel on the Raffelli update?
No, that's going to be a verbal update for the.
Okay, so that's on communications. Do I have Pete Mena here?
I am here.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm looking at that. So, Pete, I would love, before we vote on this, this is our Deputy Corporation Counsel, Pete Mena, who's been working on the Raffelli case, which is the tax foreclosure case. And I thought that it would be helpful for the Finance Committee to get an update on what is happening legally with this. Thank you, Pete. Welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Zach and fellow commissioners. As you all probably know, this is the statewide lawsuit, which really is going to significantly change the way that tax foreclosure sales are accomplished and where the surplus funds go. This is a lawsuit against the county that is seeking a refund of those surplus monies going back several years. We have filed, we're working with outside counsel, Bill Horton, on this matter, and he has filed a motion. We are going to argue to the court that the Raffelli decision, which was issued by the Michigan Supreme Court in July, should only apply prospectively. In other words, from that date forward, and that it should not apply to any foreclosure sale that occurred prior to July of 2020. So we'll see how the court rules on that. I don't know what our chances of success are on that. Depending on what type of ruling we get from our circuit court, there may be an avenue to go to the Court of Appeals. Ultimately, all of the counties in the state are going to be filing similar motions. Everyone wants to know and get this sorted out as to whether the Raffelli decision is applied prospectively or whether it is going to be retroactive. In conjunction with the lawsuit, the county also issued an RFP for an audit of all of the foreclosure sales that have happened since 2009. And so we're working on a contract with a forensic accounting firm, which is going to examine all of the foreclosure sales and make sure that we're getting an accurate list of the properties that we have foreclosed on and sold at auction since 2009, so that we can make sure that all of our documentation is true and accurate. Around the state, we're seeing similar things. Wayne County has a very similar lawsuit going on. And I believe that there also will be, if they haven't already, they'll be filing a motion on the prospective versus retroactive issue. All of these cases either have been or likely will be certified as class actions. And so what that means is there's a group of class counsel attorneys who control the lawsuit. They will be ultimately responsible for sending out notices to all of the class members. So anyone who would potentially be eligible for a monetary refund, they're going to be responsible for tracking those people down, seeing if they can locate them, if they're deceased, seeing if they have an estate that can be located. And that class process is not unique to Oakland County. Like I said, almost every county in the state either currently has a certified class action, or we expect they will have one. So this is really a statewide issue. We have seen some individual lawsuits being filed. So in other words, these are people who are choosing to opt out of the class, which of course they have the right to do. We've got about 45 of those so far, and all of those lawsuits have been put on hold by agreement between the parties. They're being put on hold until we get that ruling in the actual Raffaelli case about whether this is going to be prospective going forward, or whether it's going to be retroactive looking backward. There is also some work in the legislature, and I believe the word that we're getting is that there will probably be a bill passed before the end of the year to change the way in which foreclosure sales are done. Not so much the sale itself, but what the people have to do after the sale in order to recover any surplus funds. The legislature is trying to develop a mechanism with which to accomplish that. And also, I think the intent is to shorten up the period that people would have going forward in order to claim that surplus. I think it would be a 2-year period if the bill passes as it is currently written. And so that's all I have as far as an update, but I'm happy to take any questions that anyone has.
Thank you, Pete. Commissioner Middleton.
Yes, if the county's countermeasure works and they only go from now forward, will Raffaelli get any compensation? Wouldn't that cut him out of this lawsuit?
So it's a good question, Commissioner Middleton, and I should have mentioned it. The individual plaintiff, in other words, the person who is named Raffaelli, has actually reached an individual settlement with the county whereby he is getting his property back and he will be reimbursed. I think the final amount was $10,000 in order to cover some repairs that need to be made to the roof and some other areas of the home. So the individual plaintiff, Raffaelli himself, will actually be settling with.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Thank you so much, Pete, for coming and giving an update to the
Thank you.
Finance Committee. I appreciate
Excellent.
it.
Thank you.
Okay, so back to the communications agenda. Any other questions or comments? We have a motion on the floor. Okay, let's call the roll, please.
We can do
Wait,
voice
I can
vote.
do a voice vote. I can do a voice vote. I'm sorry. Commissioner Powell.
Sorry, I have one question.
Sure.
If we are at risk of exposure in the federal, courts since the lawsuits are in state courts?
Peter, are you still with us?
I'm here.
Yeah, will there be any, can you answer that for me? I'm sorry.
Yeah, Commissioner. So we do have a couple of lawsuits that are ongoing in federal court right now. The distinction being there are certainly some people who claim that they have a right under the federal Constitution to receive not only the surplus from the foreclosure sale, but also any potential fair market value. That is an argument that the Michigan Supreme Court did not accept. The Michigan Supreme Court said, no, that's not a valid argument. And the Michigan Supreme Court said you only have a remedy under the state constitution. People can make that argument in federal court, and it's likely that they will make that argument. We feel pretty comfortable right now that the United States Supreme Court case law that is out there really cuts off that argument and says you cannot do that. It would be a completely untenable situation if we had to go back and calculate this fair market value allegation. It would basically be a battle of the experts. Surplus is easy because we know what we sold it for. But the fair market value is totally different. So the answer to your question, Commissioner Powell, is yes, they can go into federal court, and we expect they will. But we don't think that currently the state of the case law is in their favor.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Thanks for coming back, Pete. Seeing none, let's take a voice vote, please. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Say nay. Motion carries. Okay, moving on to the regular agenda, item number 5. Board of Commissioners. Yes.
We have a
Pam?
consent agenda this time as well.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. I do see that. I need a motion on the consent agenda, please. Commissioner Kowal, supported by Commissioner Quarles. And do I have any questions about the consent agenda or comment? Seeing none, let's call the roll, please.
On the consent agenda, Commissioners Markham,
Yes.
Middleton,
Yes.
Christensen,
Yes.
Gillibrand,
Yes.
Quarles,
Pam?
Yes.
Oh, never mind. I was trying to get caller 4 to silence because I couldn't. It was irritating. So sorry.
okay. Powell,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Kowal,
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
and Chair, you have 9 yeas, 0 nays.
Okay, regular agenda, item number 5, Board of Commissioners, proposed Village of Holly Downtown Development Authority tax capture. And we did get something from Pam in our email. The TIF committee met this morning and approved it unanimously. So I need a motion, please. Commissioner Markham, supported by Commissioner Quarles. And I have Dan Hunter from Economic Development with us to present the item. Welcome, Dan.
Good morning. Good morning, Commissioners. Good to see you. We have here this morning the Village of Holly and their Downtown Development Authority. And I am joined by the village manager, Jerry Walker, who was also with us earlier at the TIF meeting. This is a request for county capture for 20 years at 50% of county capture. Holly, I believe, was the first community to come under the county, the commissioner's policy back in the year 2000. And so is just finishing up a 20-year capture of county dollars as well as the local dollars. Holly is a very strong participant in our Main Street Oakland County program. Battle Alley and the very, very historic buildings are a big part of that. This 20-year capture would amount to roughly $441,000. And the resolution you have before you is to approve Corporation Council to begin to work with the Village of Holly on an agreement. So with that, I'll turn it over to Village Manager Jerry Walker for a brief comment, and then we're happy to answer any questions.
Jerry, you're on mute, so please turn.
Okay, sorry about that. This is a little different than the Zoom application we usually use. Again, thank you for the opportunity to come before you today and to talk a little bit about the success we've enjoyed in Holly, and certainly a large portion of that success, I believe, is our partnership with Oakland County, and in particular the Main Street program, where the village enjoys a select status with Oakland County Main Street. And so with the last TIF capture, that 20 years from 2001 to 2020, we were able to accomplish some great things, even through some very difficult economic times. If any of you have had the chance to visit Holly recently, you'll notice that we enjoy a 99% occupancy rate throughout our DDA district. And I think that's directly applicable to the programs that we put in place, but we couldn't do that programming without this capture and funds. So the Village Council is very supportive of the DDA, as well as the administration. Myself, I am a former executive director of a DDA program in a different community a few years back, and so I enjoy that economic development and community building relationship that I'm able to now put in place or keep going between the village manager's office and the DDA. Previously, with our other plan, we were able to do complete streetscape rebuild in the downtowns and other districts of the DDA. Our DDA is comprised of 3 distinct areas, one being the historic downtown. We're very proud of that area, where other communities have decided to tear down or modernize their historic downtowns. Holly has made a very conscious decision to not only maintain them, but rehabilitate and enhance them as much as possible. And again, that's done through this program. From the downtown area, then we then move into the Midtown area, which is comprised of a mix of business and residential homes right along our main street, which would be North Saginaw. But we see those homes starting to convert to boutiques or some type of cottage industries, which we're really happy with. We think it makes a nice flow as we continue.
Forgive me, Jerry, I want to interrupt. There are people who are not muted on phones that are speaking. We've got some interference going on. And Dan, if you could mute, please,
yes,
while he's speaking, that would help. I'm sorry for interrupting, but.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, and I'll move right along because I know the commission has a lot on their agenda this morning. As we move into the North Shopping District, that is the part where we look to see the most development that will occur as we have some larger tracts of land for some larger commercial development to go along with the village's only grocery store and really large strip center. And so we see that developing. As we move into the new plan, we have a lot of projects that continue to enhance what we've already been doing. I think 2 of the most exciting projects we have, one is the relocation and then rehabilitation of the Holly Union Railroad Depot. So Holly was really formed when 2 railroads decided to intersect what are now the village limits. So back in 1865, these railroads were there, and that is really what brought the village forward. And so we look at relocating the historic Union Depot because right now it is located between 2 sets of working railroad tracks, which with railroad regulation and liabilities makes it impossible for the public to use that building. And so we are looking to relocate that building, if you're familiar with Holly at all, right across from the Holly Hotel on Broad Street, then that will become a premier welcome center, as well as a museum and some other little uses. That project, though, that is not cheap. If you can imagine moving a railroad depot it will be about $350,000. We're halfway through a independent fundraising campaign to get that move done. However, once the move is done, we've probably got another $700,000 or $800,000 in rehabilitation of the site and then ongoing costs from there. But we think it's a project well worth it as we look toward historic preservation. Of course, that is one of the DDA and the Main Street's main objectives. And so we're very excited for that. And also the rehabilitation of Battle Alley and Alley Streets, which has been a motorized vehicle route, although used largely by pedestrian. So we have blocked that street off. And the council and the DDA decided to do that in order to assist local business and restaurants. And so now we have decorative bollards at each end of the street, as well as tables, chairs, and planters and flowers in that area. But we look at continuing development of that area into perhaps a social district or a social zone again, to assist the businesses, but really to become a destination. So we look at this TIF capture as vital to the continuation in our programs. Like I said, we're very appreciative of Oakland County's support, not only financially, but in the professional services that you authorize as a commission and that Dan Hunter coordinates for us. So I'd be happy to answer any questions if you should have them.
Thank you so much for your enthusiastic presentation. The photos are beautiful. We address concerns in TIF. Are there any other questions about the TIF for the Finance Committee? Seeing none, let's call the roll, please.
On item number 5, Commissioners Middleton,
Yes.
Gershenson,
Yes.
McGillivray,
Yes.
Quarles,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Howell,
Yes.
Markham,
Yes.
Zach.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 9 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Item number 6, County Executive Information Technology Public Safety Report to Board Transparency Dashboard Project Clemis. And we have Mike Tim with us, our head of our technology. Thank you for joining us today. Oh, I need a motion first and foremost. Commissioner Gershenson, supported by Commissioner Powell. Thank you. Floor is yours, Mike.
Thank you, Commissioners. And Chief Deputy Chambers is straddling 2 meetings right now, so she may also be able to join, but she was called to an emergency meeting with the Health Department. So this initiative, we are basically requesting the allocation of funds from the general fund, and it's an amount of $250,500, and that'll cover 2 things: some IT hours to develop an RFP and implement the system, working with a vendor, Alta Vista, who went through the RFP process, and we selected amongst several bidders. And the overall intent of this is to provide the first dashboard, if you will, for public safety. So the intent, as County Executive Coulter mentioned back in July with the original submission of the budget, one of the objectives out of the executive office was to provide some transparency, primarily using data that we already have in the Clemis system within Oakland County, and that we would provide this base website template for the 42 Oakland County agencies that are Clemis participants. So we've been working with Under Sheriff McCabe, as well as the chiefs in Novi, Ferndale, and a couple other agencies to help us put together the structure. And the intent is to provide transparency and public safety data. So we're in the process now of doing that first set of templates for the website build. And we would look to have a viable demonstration even available that we can share that in the next month or so. But really this funding would provide for those 42 agencies the development of the website, the link from their city, township, or public safety website, and it would pay for the first year of support at a cost of $4,000 per agency, and that would be borne for the first year by the county. We would also make this available to other Clemis agencies outside of the county. As you may recall, Clemis is actually used in 10 different counties in Southeast Michigan, but those agencies would have to fund their use of this dashboard directly and specifically with Alta Vista, with the vendor, would not be using county funds for out-of-county agencies. So again, the main objective here is transparency of public safety data, and we do have the support and backing of several law enforcement chiefs and officers who are working with us on those requirements. So if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Commissioner Colwell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So as it is now, how do say news agencies or whatever find out about so-and-so's been arrested or whatever? Do you have to, I mean, what's the difference between how it is now? So is it that you don't have to go and get a FOIA or make other requests? How are we making it more transparent? I kind of thought that information was already available.
Yeah, some of it is available to news agencies. You know, what you might see in the newspaper is the crime blotter, and some of those those are the specific arrest kinds of information. This potentially would have more information about demographics, and it would be in a graphical format. We do have some designs around keeping track of trends over time, over a number of years. Alta Vista has been working on this, and the idea would be basically to see trends around demographics, trends around citations, trends around the type of arrest, the types of crime in a specific public safety area. So it would vary by agency, and it's just another source, another form of transparency.
Thank you very much.
Commissioner Middleton.
Yes, Mike, is the state police involved in this? Would they be involved with this at all?
So not specifically, because we're looking at primarily using Clemis data as the source. So we do have some interface with the state, with the law enforcement systems, a system called LEAN, the Law Enforcement Information Network. So some of that data is shared, but the intent of this would be at the local level. So it would be, as an arrest is made or a citation is issued, that information goes into Clemis today, and we would get most of the data from Clemis. Now, that being said, we're also looking to provide the ability for the local agency, for example, training data, the number of training hours, and the types of training that officers, law enforcement personnel have gone through. That information is not stored in Clemis today. That's in separate databases. So that would be an example of data that the local agency could also upload and display. But yeah, the intent at the moment is not a significant amount of state data that's not already inside of Clemis.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Gershenson.
Mike, when you are talking about agencies, are you talking about our police departments, all the community police departments? And how do we know? I don't see a list of those that are members of Clemis.
Okay, yeah, good question. So in Oakland County, all the law enforcement agencies are Clemis members. The difference between the 42 law enforcement agencies or public safety agencies is sometimes they cross city, village, township jurisdictions. So they are a little bit different than the count of CVTs. And in fact, as you're aware, some of the public safety is provided, it's basically outsourced by contract to the Oakland County Sheriff. So it would depend on the individual area and whether or not it was provided by the sheriff or it was a city police department or a township police department, et cetera.
Thank you. And this will be on our OGov website?
No, it would actually be accessed through, for example, the Oakland County Sheriff website for the city of Pontiac, since the sheriff provides police or sheriff support for the city of Pontiac as an example. So it would be on the city of Pontiac site or the city of Novi, their site would have this link.
And will we do some sort of informational piece to let communities know that they should be advising their residents where they can access this information?
Absolutely, and we'll for sure get that communicated out through the Board of Commissioners as well as the public safety agencies and through the cities, villages, and townships.
Other questions? Mike, I have a question. The funding for this is coming out of the technology budget?
So it's actually, we have an allocation, we have dollars identified in the general fund, and we're just appropriating those dollars out of the general fund into, it would then fund the IT hours as well as the purchase order with Alta Vista.
Okay, thank you. I have already heard from the mayor of Ferndale weeks ago. She learned about this, and she is very, Ferndale is very pleased that the county is helping lead this project. They think it's, another elevation on reporting about police departments and public safety. So I've already heard unsolicited comments, so thank you. Any other comments, questions? Seeing none, let's call the roll.
On item number 6, Commissioner Gershenson,
Yes.
McGillivray,
Yes.
Quarles,
Yes.
Howell,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Howell,
Yes.
Markham,
Yes.
Middleton,
Yes.
Zach.
Yes,
Madam Chair, you have 9 yeas, 0 nays.
thank you.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you for coming. Moving on to item number 7, Economic Development and Community Affairs United Report to Board about the state's Economic Development Administration CARES Act Recovery Assistance Acceptance. And I need a motion, please. Commissioner Quarles, supported by Commissioner Gershenson. And we have our Deputy County Exec, Sean Carlson, with us today. Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Commissioners. Good morning. This did go through the Pandemic Response and Economic Recovery Committee as well on Monday, but I'm happy to be here in front of you this morning. What this is from the United States Economic Development Administration, US EDA. They have a CARES Act Recovery Assistance acceptance. So this is not related to our $219 million CARES Act. This is a separate program altogether, although the catalyst for this program is certainly COVID-19 and providing support to small businesses across the United States. So we did pursue this and put in for this grant. And we received an amount of $3 million. Of course, there's a condition precedent to accepting that $3 million, which is we're required to provide a $1.3 million matching funds, enabling funds in order to pull down that $3 million. The purpose of the program for Oakland County is to assist businesses that have been negatively affected by the ongoing economic impact of COVID-19, strengthen local businesses as they bring back their staff, increase the economic viability of existing small businesses, assist commercial business startups, expansion and preservation. Also to target small businesses with growth potential and management insight that lack sufficient collateral or owner's equity to qualify for mainstream financing. Diversify the type of industries that we have in the county. Also to improve the quality of life in underserved markets by providing access to capital to minorities, women, and others who are underrepresented in mainstream financing. So that's what we put the application in for. We originally went after $5 million. They came back. It's been a very competitive grant. They awarded us $3 million on the condition that we would provide 1.3. We are partnering with the Great Lakes Women's Business Council and SEED in their lending program. And so this offers a very nice sweet spot for us because our Business Finance Corporation and EDC organization provide loans for $150,000 and more. Our current SEED program provides micro loans for less than $50,000. And so this will provide us an opportunity to provide loans between $50,000 and $200,000. So it does a nice complement of providing a good foundation here in Houghton County. So that's the program, and encourage your support on this. Thank you.
Okay, do I have any questions? Commissioner Middleton.
Yeah, where's the 1.3 million coming from?
That would come from our grant program that we set money aside for federal grants and state grants that are out there. So that would be the non-departmental and or the general fund balance, the fund equity.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Seeing none, let's call the roll, please.
On item number 7, Commissioners McGillivray,
Yes.
Quarles,
Yes.
Howell,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Howell,
Yes.
Markham,
Yes.
Middleton,
Yes.
Gershenson,
Yes.
Zach.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 9 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion carries. Thank you for coming. Item number 8, information technology, fourth quarter 2020, recommend to the board development appropriation transfer. And welcome back, Mike Tim.
Yes,
I need a motion first. Commissioner Powell, supported by Commissioner McGillivray.
Thank you again, commissioners. Yes, this is my my quarterly visit to ask for your approval to appropriate the funds from the general fund into the IT fund to cover the new project development work that we accomplished in the fourth quarter. So that's roughly about 200,000 staff hours of work that we execute approximately every quarter for new projects, new development, for projects and departments that are in the general fund, general purpose category. That's about $1 million worth of the appropriation. And then there were also some special revenue and proprietary funds that we're also charging, and that's about 1.2 million for a total of 2.2. So this is a quarterly transfer that we come and request for your approval.
Any questions? Seeing none, let's call the roll, please.
On item number 8, Commissioners Quarles,
Yes.
Howell,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Howell,
Yes.
Markham,
Yes.
Middleton,
Yes.
Gershenson,
Yes.
McGillivray,
Yes.
Zach.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 9 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to item number 9, Central Services Aviation Division, Airport Land Lease. And welcome Cheryl Bush, our head of airports. I need a motion, please. Commissioner Gershenson, supported by Commissioner Colwell. Welcome, Cheryl.
Good morning, Commissioners, and thank you for having me this morning. This is the renewal of a 30-year lease for Woodbridge Properties. They are in our Astro Park subdivision. They are looking to renew for an additional 30-year lease term at the existing rate, and it will be subject to increases on a biannual basis, as all of our standard leases are. So no change to our budget, just a continuation of an existing program.
Do I have any questions? Seeing none, let's call the roll, please.
On item number 9, Commissioners Powell,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Colwell,
Yes.
Markham,
Yes.
Middleton,
Yes.
Gershenson,
Yes.
McGillivray,
Yes.
Quarles,
Yes.
Stack.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 9 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion carries. Item number 10, Central Services Aviation Division Airport Land Lease. And this is for Pentastar Acquisition Company. I need a motion, please. Commissioner Markham, supported by Commissioner Long.
Thank you. This is an addendum to an assigned lease that we entered into back in February 2020. Pentastar Acquisition was requesting some additional time for the design and construction for this vacant parcel. Due to the business interruption that we've had in 2020, we thought it was a reasonable request, and we're hoping to be able to extend that time period for them through February 2022.
Thank you. Do I have any questions about this? Seeing none, let's call the roll, please.
On item number 10, Commissioners Long,
Yes.
Colwell,
Yes.
Markham,
Yes.
Middleton,
Yes.
Gershenson,
Yes.
McGillivray,
Yes.
Quarles,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Stack.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 9 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Item
Thank
number
you.
11. Central Services fleet expansion of 1 vehicle for the Emergency Management Homeland Security. And I need a motion on that. Commissioner Quarles, supported by Commissioner McGillivray. And do I have Todd Burkle here to explain what's going on? This is
Yes,
Oh,
you
I-
do.
Todd
Good morning.
Harvesting. It's for Homeland Security. Thank you. Todd, are you with us too?
Yes, I am. Good morning.
Good morning.
The item before you is 1 box truck for the Homeland Security Division. This vehicle is going to be purchased with CARES Act funds. I understand Tom is on the line too. He can speak more to the actual usage of the vehicle if you have questions, or I can answer fleet questions in general too.
Tom, could you please tell us how we're going to use this vehicle?
Sure, great. Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for your time. This box truck will be used at the warehouse for PPE delivery. To this point, We've used a number of combination of factors with assistance from local fire agencies, from some resources from the state and vehicles from various departments. But unfortunately, it now appears this is going to be a long-term project. So the purchase of this vehicle was taken before the operations committee and approved for use with CARE funds. As usual, our central services did a great job and actually found a new used, a 2018 vehicle that is brand new on the lot. So it has 0 miles on it. That would be a perfect fit, and that will be in use, as I said, to deliver PPE around the county to both communities, healthcare providers, as well as county departments.
Commissioner Kowal, followed by Commissioner Gershenson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you, Tom, and thanks once again for your great handling of everything that we've been going through here since March. Really appreciate your hard work. I'm just wondering with this vehicle, first of all, is this going to be more like a permanent addition? So I don't know how long you would expect this vehicle to last. It sounds like it's going to get used pretty, very infrequently, so it should last a long time. And I know we're using CARES Act funding to purchase it this time, but do you see that we will have going forward kind of forever and ever the use of this or the need for this type of vehicle?
I certainly hope not forever, but for certainly long term I would expect over the next few years. So, and I would expect that this vehicle would have at least a 10-year life on it. While I expect it will get fairly regular use right now, that would certainly could change depending on the timeframes in the future and what's happened.
Okay, well, I guess we'll see what happens down the road. Hopefully we won't be in this too much longer, and we won't have too much need for this going forward, but appreciate everything you do again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gershenson.
Well, actually, I'm picturing we are going to be using it quite a bit because we're going to be delivering a lot of PPE equipment throughout the county. But what I was wondering about, and this is a little bit off topic, is that we've been hearing about the need for refrigeration for the proposed vaccine and refrigerated facilities. And I'm wondering, would this truck be able to be converted, or are you going down a whole different path for that distribution?
The truck the truck itself wouldn't be converted. We have ordered on behalf of health 2 different things. One is freezers that would have the ability to store the vaccine at that ultra low temperature. Now this truck would be used. There's actually 10 of those. They're small enough that they can be moved to different locations. So this truck, which does have a lift gate, would be used to move those freezers to the necessary locations. The other item that is on its way to be delivered are coolers to help move that vaccination from those freezers to individual sites for vaccination. So the truck itself wouldn't be converted to be a freezer, but it would be used to move this equipment, including vaccinations, around.
Thank you. Any other questions for Tom? Tom, I have a question. I did read the article about the freezers. Where are we going to store those?
Health is working on that one because when they have the vaccine in it, we really don't want to publish the location where the vaccine would be stored for security reasons. I don't have those exact addresses in front of me, but Health has been working out that plan, and we'll have it so that it's distributed throughout the county.
Okay, I was just curious. I didn't know how big they were, and that makes sense to me. Thank you. Any other questions or comments for Tom on this? Seeing none, let's call the roll, please.
On item number 11, Commissioners Kowal,
Yes.
Markham,
Yes.
Middleton,
Yes.
Gershenson,
Yes.
McGillivray,
Yes.
Quarles,
Yes.
Howell,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
I'm sure you have 9 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Okay. Item number 12, Health and Human Services Community and Home Improvement Division 2020 Annual Action Plan Acceptance for Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, Home Investment Partnerships Act Program, Home, and Emergency Solutions Grant, ESG Program. I need a motion, please. Commissioner Markham, supported by Commissioner Powell. And I want to welcome Shane Beese. Is that how I say your last name? Okay. And Shane, do you want to introduce yourself to the Finance Committee? This is your first time coming before us. You know something, Shane, we can't, I see that you are on, we can't hear you, even though your microphone is showing that you are on. It's not working. Chris Ward, do you have any suggestions for Shane of how to manage the sound?
Yeah, I would suggest you go out and come back in by phone, Shane.
How about that?
Oh, that's good.
Even better.
Here we go.
Perfect. Thank you.
You know, my first time in front of you, and I have to think quick on my feet. Well, hi everyone. Yeah, I just want to introduce myself briefly here. I'm the new manager, taking over, filling in the big shoes of Terry Reith for the manager for the Neighborhood and Housing Development Division, formerly Community and Home Improvement. I've been with the Health Division for the last 19 years of Oakland County, so I'm really looking forward to the new opportunity here.
Okay,
do we need
want to give an overview of the plan at all? Are there any changes from the last plan?
Yep, absolutely. I wasn't sure if we had to take up a motion or anything. But yeah, I'm going to share share my screen here. Got just a very few brief slides about it. Just again, real quick reminder that, yeah, what we're talking about here is accepting the action report and our allocations and our budget for the upcoming year. And just a brief reminder, we still get our main funding sources through our 3 main grants from HUD. The Community Development Block Grant, that goes to support our housing counseling services, the administrative support to go to apply all these various grants. And then we do work with participating communities on their community revitalization projects. Also, through our home resources, our home funding, those go to support, our nonprofit and community housing development organizations such as Habitat for Humanity, Venture, and Community Housing Network. And also emergency solution grants that goes to support nonprofit shelters such as Lighthouse and Haven. Just real briefly, I know for me, context is really important, and I just really wanted to share with everybody. I took some of the numbers out of the miscellaneous resolution and compared those to our past years. I just wanted to show that all of our allocations are more or less in line with what we've received in the past few years. Go up, go down a little bit each year. And then the income, you're going to notice that the income might look down, but generally speaking, our estimated income, we always kind of underestimate that. And what we actually bring in is usually a little higher every year. And just real quickly, this is more important for the Human Resource Committee. But again, all of our positions continue to be special revenue supported in the division. There is one exception. We have an accountant from fiscal, and 80% of her position is special revenue support. The main difference is that this year we did recently create a liaison, community liaison position. And our goal is to make sure that that we're not the best kept secret, that we make sure that everyone in the community knows about what we do and continue to engage with the public as much as we can. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to open it up if anybody has any questions.
Does anybody have any questions? Well, I do if no one else does. Have we identified the accountant person? I understand that Gordon Lambert also has retired. Have we identified the accountant?
Yeah, so the accountant is Val Klein, but Gordon, the chief position, we actually just got that posting up on Monday, and we sent out all the advertisements. But if you know anybody who has who would be a good candidate for that position, please put them in contact with me, because we are looking, that's going to be a very key position for our division. We're really looking forward to getting a good quality candidate in there.
Okay, and then the goal of the liaison position is to just let people know that we're there and what we do?
Yeah, so the main goal of this position is we do a lot of interacting with 50 plus cities, villages, and townships, coordinating of those consortium meetings and those efforts to help move forward on our annual action plan. We got our 5-year consolidated plan coming up, as well as we deal with any number of advertisements and making sure that the community knows what we can do for them. If there's an eligible homeowner or renter that we might be able to assist, we don't want them to go we don't want them to not know about what we can do it. And so a lot of what she's going to be doing, or he's going to be doing when they come on board, is going to be making those connections, and also connecting them with resources. So not just housing resources, but for example, if it's something that we can't provide, we want them to be able to connect them to other community agency services, such as food assistance or healthcare, or whatever they might need. And that might just be simply, calling up the health division, the nurse on call, and saying, hey, don't you have a connection that you can get this person in touch with? They need X, Y, or Z that we can't do. And that is something that community liaison is really going to be focused on doing.
Thank you. I do have thank you. That I think that's wonderful. I do want to recognize Commissioner Gershenson.
Thank you and welcome, Shane. I think this position is critical, because my understanding is in my communities, the people that get the information about shore funding and CDBG are the council members. They're well informed, but to get it out to the actual residents who can take part in some of these programs, I think is very important, now more than ever.
I appreciate that feedback. And yeah, the hope is that if you have constituents and they have those kinds of needs, that once we identify the individual, you can just simply get them in touch with each other, and they can then help that particular person from your district.
Other questions or comments? I appreciated the report with illustrating all of the wonderful projects that we fund through the CDBG funding throughout the community, and it really shows where that money is going directly. So I appreciated seeing that as part of the report this time. Any other questions? Seeing none, let's call the roll, please.
On item number 12, Commissioners Markham,
Yes.
Middleton,
Yes.
Gershenson,
Yes.
McGillivray,
Yes.
Quarles,
Yes.
Howell,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Colwell,
Yes.
Zach.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 9 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 13, Economic Development and Community Affairs, approval of the Oakland County Brownfield Consortium interlocal agreement. And I need a motion, please. Commissioner Long, supported by Commissioner McGillivray. And welcome, Brad Hanson.
Good morning, Brad. I'd like to publicly recognize Brad. This is his baby. This is the 4th or 5th go-around with this grant from EPA. We have some projects ready to go for phase 1 and phase 2 site assessments. What you have before you is the interlocal agreement that the 6 communities have already approved. Brad, anything else you want to add? Please go ahead.
Nope, that's it, Dan. Thanks for the recognition. Yep, Dan mentioned everything, just our interlocals with our 6 partners communities. We're ready to rock and roll and get started on this grant. Thank you.
Do I have any questions? See, you did such a great job. There are none, so thank you. Let's call the roll.
On item number 13, Commissioners Middleton,
Yes.
Gershenson,
Yes.
McGillivray,
Yes.
Quarles,
Yes.
Howell,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
Colwell,
Yes.
Markham,
Yes.
Zach.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 9 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Item number 14, Economic Development, Community Affairs, Veterans Services Division, Fiscal Year 2021 County Veteran Service Fund Grant Acceptance. And I want to welcome Garth Wooten to Finance.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
I need a motion, Commissioner Long, supported by Commissioner Gershon. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. This is the acceptance of a grant from the Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency in the amount of $127,352. This is the County Veterans Service Fund grant. And we have chosen this year to allocate those funds towards 3 areas. First, advertising. We want to make sure that people are aware of the services that we receive or that we provide. In the past, we have contracted with an outside agency because we've had a little larger budget for that. This year, we're going to just work internally within our media, communications, and economic development. We've got some great people there that can come up with some ideas with as far as advertising and marketing. We are also going to do a landlord risk mitigation fund, which one of the major issues with homelessness and veterans, we've come close to essentially eliminating homelessness for veterans in Oakland County, getting to functional zero. But one of the challenges we have is finding landlords who are willing to rent at the rates that are provided by the programs that the VA allows for homeless veterans. So we're hoping that the risk mitigation fund will encourage landlords to rent to homeless veterans. The other area that we are going to try to focus funds on is the transportation program. We know that transportation is a barrier for veterans as far as getting into our office. So we wanted to do this last year, but because of the pandemic, we reallocated those resources to an emergency relief fund. So we're hoping to utilize those funds to create a program where veterans, regardless of where they live, would be able to get free transportation into one of our offices, either in Pontiac or Troy. We've been working with Neil Greenberg and Brett Razigan on that program, so we think we'll be able to come up with something utilizing some of the program, NODA, WODA, SMART, some of those area resources to be able to get people into our offices at no charge to those veterans. So this is obviously a motion to accept the grant that has been approved by the Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency.
Thank you. I want to recognize Commissioner Gershenson.
Thank you. Welcome. Good morning, Garth. My question is 127,000 to do all those things. That sounds like a lot of things you want to accomplish. I think that risk mitigation fund is critical, and I'm just wondering about if all of those categories are going to have enough resources to be effective.
Yeah, the risk mitigation fund, I did talk to Leah McCall, who is the excellent director over at the Alliance for Housing in Oakland County. I'm sure you're all familiar with her, and I ran the numbers by her, and she thought that was a good number. If we utilize $1,000 for each landlord, that would be 25 veterans, and we are below that number as far as the number of homeless veterans at this point. So she thought that was adequate. The transportation program, again, running it by Neil and Brett, they thought that number was something that would work for us. The advertising, again, we're going to go in a different direction. Last time we spent a lot of money on radio advertising, a little money on TV advertising. And this time we're going to focus more on social media, creating some of the some videos using people over in our media and communications to come up with stuff we can put on YouTube and those type of things. So we feel that's adequate. One other thing I will mention that in previous years, and we anticipate that it'll be the same way this year, these funds carry over from if they're not spent by the end of the fiscal year, they come back into the County Veteran Service Fund, and then the state of Michigan will reallocate those. So we think that, and that process usually takes till December. They go through the previous fiscal year budget and go through a process and determine how much of it wasn't spent last year, and then they have a formula to reallocate that to counties. So we anticipate that probably in December or January, we will get another sum from the state of Michigan from the County Veteran Service Fund.
So, Garth, are you satisfied that you say we have a small number of homeless vets, which of course is good news, but are you satisfied we're getting the word out to vets? And I'm glad you're now going into social media, but I mean, I would imagine a lot of homeless veterans don't have access to social media. I'm just wondering about the ability and the effort to get the word out. Are you satisfied with the numbers you're seeing and the methods you're using to get the word out?
I am. I think what we have an alliance or agreement. We meet weekly. There's a weekly meeting, and it's called a by name list meeting, so that we work with all the homeless shelters, all the providers in the area, that we meet weekly and essentially go over every veteran that's homeless, make sure that they are receiving the resources that they need to get them into some type of a transitional or hopefully permanent housing at some point. We do, again, they do a lot of outreach, and again, we're in communication with the local shelters and work with them, and they're on that by name list weekly meeting. So, we try to get the word out. I mean, obviously there are some people on the streets that we try to make sure that people are doing that type of outreach, but it's always a challenge to try and get the word out to everybody.
Is that it, Commissioner Gershenson? Thank you. So Garth, this Commissioner Colwell.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Garth. It seems to be like a long time problem trying to get word out to vets as to the services and the benefits they have, and I've been continually puzzled by that. I mean, where's the disconnect here? When they're discharged, are they not given the right resources? It just seems to be a continual problem just to, to tap them on the shoulder and say, hey, you've got this benefit or that benefit, and you need to know about it. So what's your thoughts about that? How can that be done better?
I think one of the challenges we have, especially with our younger veterans, is that they are focused more on, getting other criteria or other factors and aren't really concerned about, that knee that they injured in service. They may decide that, it's not really bothering me that much. I don't need to go in and apply for disability compensation. They may have medical under their current employer that they decide that, I don't need to go to the VA for health care. What we see, unfortunately, is a lot of times veterans wait until they get into a situation where it's either an emergency or a need that really pops up, and then they come see us. So some of it is also pride. A lot of veterans don't want to ask for help. So we try to focus our marketing or advertising. We try to make sure that they understand that it's not a handout. It's not anything like that. It's something that they've earned and that they should utilize these benefits. But it's an ongoing challenge. It's not just in Oakland County. It's in the state of Michigan. It's in the United States. That there are resources, obviously, that are available to veterans that they're not utilizing as much as they should.
Thank you, Garth, and I agree with you too that a lot of times it's their pride and they don't want to ask for anything. So, but we have to keep reaching out and make sure that they know what's available to them. So thank you for doing that.
Any other questions? So Garth, I have a question. Is this a separate landlord mitigation fund for veterans, or is this part of the one that we are looking to do for the county?
This is separate, and there will probably be some modifications to this. I talked to Leah, and we don't want to duplicate services, and we may modify this more towards a landlord incentive grant, where rather than they have to have some kind of damages to the property from a veteran to get that landlord risk mitigation fund. This would be more of a, if you rent to a veteran, we would provide you with essentially a lump sum upfront as an incentive to do so. And again, working with Leah McCall, and we will have to obviously go through risk management and amend the budget or this agreement, which is a fairly easy process. We've done that last year when we had the pandemic hit. We were originally going to do these transportation and risk mitigation, and we reprogrammed all that money to the COVID-19 emergency relief. So right now, we kind of as a placeholder, we have it as a landlord risk mitigation fund, but I think it's going to be more of a landlord incentive fund to try and get them to rent to veterans. That's really the goal. To as I said earlier, that the challenge is finding acceptable housing in Oakland County and landlords that are willing to rent to homeless veterans.
Thank you. I'm so glad that you're working collaboratively with the Alliance for Housing and Leah McCall. They are wonderful. It is our community resources. She's an expert. She knows a lot about the landlord mitigation and all the other issues along with the members in that committee. So thank you. Any other questions, comments regarding this? Seeing none, let's call the roll, please.
On item number 14, Commissioners Gershenson,
Yes.
McGillivray,
Yes.
Quarles,
Yes.
Howell,
Oh,
Howell?
yes. Yes.
Lund,
Yes.
Koa,
Yes.
Markham,
Yes.
Middleton,
Yes.
Zach.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 9 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Is there any other business to come before us? Any other comments? If not, without objection, the meeting will be adjourned. And until the next Wednesday at 9:30, and I hope you're all happy that we